Hi everyone, and welcome back to Spin, Crochet, Repeat and Robin's Crocheted Creations. Today will be part 4 of our Shetland series. This is 37, as you can see, 37 grams of the Shetland yarn that you have seen so far in this series to be washed, combed, spun, and now I have also plied it. And we're going to dye some today. About a month ago, we had a big ice storm, and there was a tree in our yard that fell, and it had just started budding out lots of really pretty red flowers. I can't remember what kind of tree it is, but so we're going to be using that today. I have my dedicated dye pots. This will be used for dyeing yarn only. And if you ever do anything like this, that is a necessity to have dedicated dyeing equipment. You don't want to accidentally make someone sick or yourself sick from, or worse, from using things that are not food safe, and then using the same in containers, and then using those same containers to cook food. So even though this is it's from nature, it's right out of our front yard, I'm still not going to ever cook anything in these pans that we would eat. So I'm going to be adding some water to this, and I'll get that on the pot, or on the stove rather. It's in the pot. I'll get that on the stove to boil and get some of that color out. For this yarn, I'm going to be using alum as a mordant. You can find this in the spice aisle of most grocers. And I got this kitchen scale at Walmart. It wasn't very much. And it is telling us we have 37 grams. From what I have read online, alum is used at a 15% concentration. So I will definitely be using a calculator to try to figure out what 15% of 37 will be. So I'm going to do that and be right back. Okay, so it seems as though for 37 grams, we're going to need 5.5 grams of our alum. So I've got this paper on here. It is zeroed out, and I'm going to I thought a teaspoon would be too big for this, but it turns out 5.5 grams is going to be a good bit more than what I thought. Let's try this out. Okay, so I'm going to get this up to 5.5 grams, and then I'll be back. Okay, I did want to note that I'm wearing a mask while dealing with this loose alum powder. And what I'm going to do now is add this to some plain water. It is warm, kind of just out of the faucet warm. I'm going to stir this in and let it dissolve. It is not on the heat at all. It's just warm from the faucet. I'm going to put the yarn in here, let it soak in, and I will let this soak up, this alum water, while our tree material, our dyeing material, is boiling in this pot over here. Looks a little more maroon, purplish kind of on camera than it does in person. And this is a total experiment. I am not entirely sure that we will get this red color out. But that was part of why when the tree branch fell, I thought, well, that would be kind of a neat color if we could get that out of the tree. So, better grab it before it all dries out and just see what I could do with it. And real quickly, what the alum mordant does is it binds to the yarn, which helps the color then bind to the yarn. So it will help us to get a true dyed color rather than just a stain. And this yarn is soaking up quite a bit of water, so I'm going to add some to this. I'm going to set a timer for, oh, not 50 minutes. Sorry for all the beeping. I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. And I'll come back and see if it needs more water again. And also we'll update on what color we've got going on in this. Alright, so we are 10 minutes in. And the glove is because of the alum, not because of the temperature. Because again, there's no heat on this. It is still soaking. I want to make sure it can absorb as much of that alum as possible to help us get a more vibrant, or I guess saturated color would be the right word. We are really steaming over here, slowly building up to a simmer. And you can see we have kind of a maybe a pinkish orangish color going on. So I'm going to continue to let this simmer for another, I'm going to do another 20 minutes and see what kind of color we have. And after that, we will, if I like the color, we'll strain all this out and put our yarn in. If I want to try to get more color out of it, we will leave it for a little longer. Okay, so it has been 20 minutes. We are at a pretty good little boil here, and this is a lovely color I'm seeing in the water. This is actually, I'm trying to get y'all out of the steam, this is actually really a lot of what I was hoping for. So, it does seem like there's a lot of the color gone out of the flowering part. Well, for experiment's sake, let's see what else we can get out of these branches. I'm going to let it go another 10 minutes. And then I think we will be ready to put our yarn in. Okay, it has been another 10 minutes. So this has been simmering for about 40 minutes total. I'm really loving the red color. I hope you guys can see how it's just so pretty. So I'm now going to strain this out. I have to switch hands with the one that's holding my phone. And I'm so glad that I saved this stuff. I kept it in the freezer. And I've got more in there. So I will definitely be using this again. And I do believe I want to stick with the natural dyeing material, at least for now, until I get more experience with this and get more comfortable with it. So that means things like onions, blueberries, red cabbages. I've got a there's some woods right next to my house that has a big patch of buttercups growing, or daffodils, whichever you like to call them. And they've not bloomed. I think it's because they're in the woods and they're in the shade. But I think that the leaves off of that would make a very, very pretty green. So let me know in the comments below what you would like to see me, what color you'd like to see me dye with next. I've got more of this Shetland wool that I need to spin. So we can try many different colors. I've got blueberries in the freezer. We can use grapes. So just let me know what you would be interested in seeing. I've got one little stem left in there. Come on now. It's being stubborn. There we go. No, it fell. Let me know what you would be interested in seeing, and we will see what we can do. Alright, so I think that's about all I can get out of there. There's still little bits, so I'm going to pause here and pour through this strainer and get the rest of it out, and then we'll come back and put the yarn in. Okay, so here we are with the dye material all strained out. I have also wrung out the pre-soaked water out of the yarn, and I'm now going to put it in the dye material. It's already picking up a tiny bit. This is very hot. I'm going to have to buy some tongs to use just for this. We will check back with this. I'm going to keep it on a low heat. And we will check back with this in about 20 minutes and see what it looks like. Okay, so we've been in the dye bath for about 15 minutes. I had said 10 minutes and then forgot to set the timer. So it's been just a smidgen longer. We still have a lot of color in the water. Not a ton of color has gone into the yarn. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but it has picked up a little bit of a tan hue. So I'm going to let this sit for another hour on low heat, and then we'll see what it does by that time. Okay, so as we can see, the color has not deepened very much. I am wondering if maybe an hour was not long enough. I mean, it has improved some. It has darkened some. And maybe I could turn the heat up just a bit more. And another thing I'm going to try is I saved this alum water, or Mordanting water. I'm going to add a bit. Actually, I'm going to add all of it. Why not? We don't want to waste anything. So maybe that will help. It's turned really, really bright red. Almost purple on camera, but it's bright red here. So I've got the heat up just a smidgen more. We've got the alum water mixed in. And so from there, I'm going to set the timer for another hour, and we will see what happens. Alright, so with about 20 minutes left, I hadn't seen a lot of change. So I came in and added a splash of vinegar to try to help out. And again, we still don't have too much change. So I went into this knowing it was a good bit of an experiment. Might not quite turn out just the way I wanted. See, there's just a light tan, a light beige, not at all the color that we kind of see in the pot. That's got a lot of colors still in it. So what I'm going to do now is turn the heat off, let this cool until it is room temperature, and see if it will soak up anything else as it cools. Okay, so here we are again with our yarn, and as you can see, it did not take up any more color. It changed a bit, learned a bit, so that is kind of the whole point. Maybe next time I will have a little more success changing the color of the yarn. I might even use this again just to kind of see, we can look back and see the difference between this now and this in the future. So I'm going to get this yarn rinsed. It did go from a white to a little bit of a tan. Not much of one, but hopefully what little bit we did get will not rinse out. I've just got some warm tap water going, and let's see. I don't really see any of the color coming out. There's a little bit of the what didn't get sifted out of the dyeing material, and it could be that I just did not pick a good dyeing material. That totally could be it. Again, learning and growing. That's all we can do in this world, right? Is learn as we go. So I'm going to wring this out, and I will get some of our original wool that has not been spun yet, and we can compare the colors. So yes, as you can see, there, turn the light on. This is some of the wool that I combed into or brushed into Rolags that has not yet been spun, and this is what we just attempted to dye. Got a little bit of color, and it may be that it is still slightly wet, so not a whole lot of difference, but a fun experiment nonetheless. Again, I've got some other resources available for other colors. If you would like to see that done, let me know in the comments below. And as always, I appreciate your subscribing and your watching. So thanks very much.